Momini, now to move forward with our program, I'd like to invite Brother Murtaza Walijahi and group for recitation of Marsiya. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللهم صل على
محمد وآل محمد.
فاتحہ.
بسم اللہ.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
شاہ ہر دوسرا کی رحلت ہے دین کے پیشوا کی رحلت
ہے
دین کے پیشوا رہنا ہے انبیاء سارے سرور انبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
سرور انبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
دار فانی سے جا رہے ہیں رسول اشرف الانبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
اشرف الانبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
جو شفاعت کرے گا محشر میں اس شفیع الورا
کی رحلت ہے
اس شفیع الورا
کی رحلت ہے
غم سے پھٹتا ہے فاطمہ کا جگر سید الانبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
سید الانبیاء
کی رحلت ہے
اہل بیت رسول روتے ہیں پیٹو سر مصطفیٰ
کی رحلت ہے
پیٹو سر مصطفیٰ کی رحلت ہے
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اے مومنو یثرب میں عجب نوحگری ہے زہرا کے لیے داغ غم بے پدری ہے لب خشک ہے منہ زرد ہے آنکھوں میں تری ہے پیغمبر کونین چراغ سحری ہے پیغمبر کونین چراغ
سحری ہے
ہوتے ہیں جدا خیر بشر خیر و نساء ہے محبوب خدا چھوٹتے ہیں شیر
خدا ہے
محبوب خدا چھوٹتے ہیں شیر
خدا ہے
ایک کافران گوشت میں تھا زہر کھلایا اس زہر نے آخر یہ اثر اپنا دکھایا، مولا کو سر بستر آزار گرایا، حصے میں حسن کے وہی زہر
ستم آیا،
حصے میں حسن کے وہی زہر ستم
آیا،
کمزور کیا اپنے رسول عربی کو، طاقت نہ رہی بیٹھنے اٹھنے کی،
نبی کو
طاقت نہ رہی بیٹھنے اٹھنے کی،
کی نبی کو
ہے آخری اس وقت میرا عوض و نصیحت، اب منبر و محراب سے ہوتا ہوں میں رخصت، آنا تھا من اللہ اللہ رحلت، اب ہوگی ملاقات میری روز
قیامت،
اب ہوگی ملاقات میری
روز قیامت،
تم غم میں میرے نالو فریاد کرو گے، اس سال مجھے حج میں بہت یاد
کرو گے،
اس سال مجھے حج میں بہت
یاد کرو گے،
دو چیزیں میں چھوڑے ہوئے جاتا ہوں مگر وہ ایک تو میری آل ہے اور ایک ہے قرآن، قرآن کی حافظ میری اطرت ہے نگہباں، یہ دونوں بزرگی میں فضیلت میں ہے یکساں، قرآن تو تم سب کی تلاوت کے لیے ہے اور آل پیغمبر کی ہدایت
کے لیے ہے،
اور آل پیغمبر
کی ہدایت کے لیے ہے،
گر بعد میرے پہنچ کا زہرا کو کچھ آزار، مرخد سے میری پشت نہیں لگنے کی زنہار، یہ چار بزرگال پیغمبر میں ہے قبردار، زہرا و حسین و حسن و حیدر کرار، واجب میرے اصحاب پا ان سب کی ولا ہے، یارو یہی تخلیق رسالت کا
صلہ ہے،
یارو یہی تبلیغ رسالت
کا صلہ ہے،
فارغ جو ہوا سے وہ عاشق دعوے، پھر گھر میں گئے اور گرے فرش اجل پر، اس روز سے تشریف نہ پھر لے گئے باہر، بس قبر میں جانے کو اٹھے وہاں سے بس قبر میں جانے کو اٹھے وہاں سے حیراں پریشانوں دل افسردہ تھی زہرا، بابا بھی جیتا تھا مگر مردہ
تھی زہرا،
بابا بھی جیتا تھی
مگر مردہ تھی زہرا،
پر احمد مختار تھے جب ہوش میں آتے، زہرا کو بس ادیاس کلیجے سے لگاتے، گئے پیار سے یہ دونوں نواسوں کو سناتے، میں اچھا ہوں تم کس لیے کھانا نہیں کھاتے، وہ کہتے تھے کہ کیا خاک تمنائے غذا ہو، اللہ کرے جلد کہیں تم کو
شفا ہو،
اللہ کرے جلد کہیں تم
کو شفا ہو،
شیخ کہتے تھے صحت ہو نہ ہو کھانا تو کھا لو، نانا کے نواسو دل مستر کو سنبھالو چلاتی تھی زہرا نہ یہ ذکر نکالو بابا میرے فرزند کو دولہا تو بنا لو ارماں تھا تم کو تو نواسوں کی دلہن کا کیا بیاہ نہ دیکھو گے حسین اور
حسن کا
کیا بیاہ نہ دیکھو گے حسین
اور حسن کا
یہ اذن کسی سے بھی نہیں مانگتا واللہ پر ہاں میرے دروازے کے رتبے سے ہے آگاہ اللہ رے غرو شرف سید زیجا بے حکم نہ گھر میں ملک الموت کی تھی راہ پر کربو بلا میں یہی گھر تھا یہی در تھا کفار کا انبو تھا آتش کا گزر
تھا
کفار کا انبو تھا آتش کا گزر تھا
Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Tonight's majlis, in which we are commemorating the wafat of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is sponsored by the families of Uruj Mirza and Muhammad Mehdi. We thank them for their generous participation, and I ask that you join me this evening in praying for these families, and especially their marhumin. This, of course, concludes our current series of majalis. Our next and last series for this year's Astaana-e-Zehra will begin this coming Thursday, September 5th, and continue until Sunday, September 8th, and it will be recited by Sheikh Mehdi Hazari Sahab. Please join us for Thursday's program beginning at 8 p.m. With that, I'd like to now invite Moulana Rizwan Rizvi Sahab to address the gathering and continue tonight's majlis. Bar Muhammad wa ale Muhammad salawat.
رحم اللہ من قرأ سورة الفاتحة بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین الرحمن الرحیم مالک یوم الدین ایاک نستعین اهدنا الصراط المستقیم صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر الضالین. ایک دفعہ اور سورہ فاتحہ کی تلاوت کر کے ان مرحومین کی روح کو اصال کر دیں. تقی علی مرزا، حمایت علی مرزا، مرزا جنگ بہادر، عابدہ بانو، سید حیدر مہدی، طاہرہ نقی اور مہلکہ قرائی. سورہ فاتحہ. اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد للہ الذی قصرت عن رؤیتہ ابصار الناظرین وعجزت عن نعتہ اوہام الواصفین. الحمد للہ رب العالمین. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نون والقلم وما يسطرون ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم صدق الله العلي العظيم. الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The verse that I recited, or the verses that I recited for you for this Majlis Aza, which marks the commemoration of the Wafat of Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Are the first 4 ayat from chapter number 68 from the Holy Quran, known as Surah Qalam. Many chapters of the 29th and the 30th juz either begin with a qasam or they begin with these abbreviated alphabets known as huruf-e muqatta'at. I know there's been a lot of discussion about huruf-e muqatta'at, so I'm not going to go into that debate. But of course, this is something where 14 centuries have gone past, and human mind is still struggling to understand what these huruf mean. While people have explored and discovered and understood many wonders of the world, and they're slowly and gradually understanding a lot of things, but this is still one area where human mind is mabhut, meaning has no idea. And therefore, it is not appropriate for us to do the guessing game. Oh, this means that, or this means that. Knowledge which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not share with us, the knowledge that Allah gave to Rasulullah, sort of like a code word between the Habib and the Mahbub. Today, in many government, institutions, there are code words. In the army, in the navy, they use these code words so that the enemy does not gain any, advantage on them. They use these sign words. In fact, in every government agency, or even outside of that, even baseball, they use these sign languages, they use these words, which only those who are aware of it, they understand. And they don't want the other party to gain access to what they are communicating between each other. Guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave these asrar and rumuz, these secrets, these alphabets, which people are unaware of. And this is something, regardless of how much we put our minds together, we will not be able to understand what these huruf muqatta'at, these abbreviated letters mean. We don't know what alif lam mim means. Yeah, there are certain riwayat that allude to certain aspects of some of these words. For example, when the beginning of Surah Maryam, Kaf, Ha, Ya, and Swad is recited, there is a riwayat, which is not that the fact that this is what it means, but this could be one of the meanings of it. That when Bibi Zainab was teaching this surah to the women in Kufa, when she had gone with Amir al-Mu'mineen in the 36th year after Hijrah, after the Khilafat-e-Zahiri of Amir al-Mu'mineen, she was conducting durus-e-tafsir, and she was teaching the women there. When she was teaching Surah Maryam and talking about the tafsir of it, Amir al-Mu'mineen heard that and said to her that Kaf means Karbala, Ha means halakat. Ya refers to the enemy of Hussein. Ain is atash. And Swad is sabr. Now, this is not the tafsir of Kaf, Ha, Ya, and Swad. Don't quote me on it. But Riwayah says that Imam mentioned. Why? Because Ahl Bayt and Quran are together. There's no separation between the two. Rasulullah made it very clear that I'm leaving behind two weighty things. One is Quran, the other is Ahl Bayt. So there is a possibility that this could be it. But that's not the actual tafsir of these huruf muqatta'at. Anything could be the explanation of it. But when we don't know, that's okay. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to have knowledge of everything. This just goes on to show that there are many areas where human mind still struggles. While they're able to solve the mysteries, this is a mystery which is still unsolved for them and remain that way. Because only Ma'sumin have the knowledge and the access to the ilm that is behind these huruf muqatta'at. So we'll skip past this noon as well. But since I recited it, there are different aspects of this noon which are mentioned. One tafsir that is mentioned that this noon may mean Hazrat Yunus alayhi salatu wasalam. Why? When you recite Namaz Ghufayla, the dua, the ayah that you recite is وَذَنُّونِ ذَنُّونِ. Dhannun refers to Hazrat Yunus. Sahib Noon or Sahib Hut, that he was in the belly of a fish. And when he had left his people, when they did not listen to him and he had fled, and he was thrown off the ship, the fish came to the rescue and he became Sahib Noon. Noon was the whale or the fish, and he was the Sahib of it. So Hazrat Noon is referred to as Wadan Noon, Sahib Noon. So say, well, this Noon might mean Hazrat Yunus. But if that's the case, then the next ayat and the next word in this ayat does not make sense. What is Noon has to do with Wal Qalam? So it has to have some sort of correlation. So this is again one of the means of the word Noon. Some say, well, the Noon may mean the ink. Why? Ink, right after that, Wal Qalam comes. But we'll leave this chapter aside because we're only going to be, throwing arrows in the dark and we will not get anywhere. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used, this is the reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these ayat for a purpose. The maqsad was that Prophet needs to propagate the religion. He needs to recite the ayat of Quran. You read this in Surah Jumu'ah. هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. This is his duty. One of the duties is to recite the ayat of Quran. But if Rasulullah recites the ayat of Quran and there's nothing that is appealing to people, because these people already consider themselves to be very knowledgeable when it came to the adabiyat of Arab and the linguistics. So Quran had to challenge them. Quran is the mu'jiza of Rasulullah, the biggest mu'jiza of Rasulullah. Therefore, this mu'jiza had to be appealing to people. So the ayat would be revealed in a sense that would grab the attention of the listeners. Right away said Noon, people were like, what's going on? And then they'll focus. After that, once the focus was there, Rasulullah will then go ahead and say, وَالْقَلَمِ وَمَا يَسْطُرُونَ. By the pen. Allah is taking an oath by the pen and that which you write with this pen. So this is how the propagation became easy for Rasulullah, so that he's able to perform the duties that he has to carry out. So looking at this ayat, wal qalam, according to the chronological order of the revelation of Quran, the first surah is Surah Alaq. The first 5 ayat of Surah Alaq. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq, Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram, alladhi allama bil qalam, allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. These 5 ayat were revealed to the Prophet. He received these ayat and he obliged to what Allah asked him to read. He recited it. A lot of people question that Rasulullah did not know how to read. Well, Quran is telling him one of the duties of Rasulullah is هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو. When he's doing the tilawat, why are you saying he doesn't know how to read? You don't need any external proof that Rasulullah was ummi, meaning that he was illiterate. No, he never attended the worldly institutions, but he had all the knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you don't need external explanations that Iqra, Rasulullah does not know what to say. He does not know what to read. No, in another place in Quran, Allah is saying one of the duties of Rasul is to yatlu alayhim ayatihi. If he doesn't know how to read, then how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him to go ahead and recite? That he is performing this duty of recitation. So he recites the ayat of Quran. Yatlu, he recites the ayat of Quran. Right after this, the first surah that is revealed is Iqra. And the end of that surah, Surah Alaq, it ends with what? Wasjud. I won't read the ayat, you'll have to do sajda. Ends with wasjud. Begin with Iqra, ends with sajda. Can you put these two together? Ayat of Quran, let's familiarize ourselves with it. They're not ordinary. They're not random. There's a maqsad and the reason behind it. The first ayah said, read, O insan. The last ayah said, do sajda, O insan. Why? Allah is giving you the message that only those who are humble enough to put their forehead down on the ground in sajda are the ones who are well read, are the ones who are well educated. Education comes and makes you humble, does not make you arrogant. Arrogance has nothing to do with education. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Rasulullah, Iqra, read. What is the second surah that is revealed? Second surah that is revealed is Surah Wal Qalam. This is chapter number 68 from the Holy Quran. Wal Qalam, by the pen and that which you write with this pen. So see, Islam is pro-education. The very first revelation says read. The very next revelation says what? Write. Reading and writing is Islam. Then why are you running away from learning and studying and writing? That should be turra imtiyaz. That should be your vainglory. Amirul Mu'mineen said, Al-hikmatu mazillatul mu'min. Hikmat and the wisdom is the lost treasure of mu'min. So therefore do tagodo, go after this ilm. Make sure that you acquire it, but from the proper channels. So this ayat continues. Wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Right after this second ayat, when Allah takes an oath by the qalam and that which you ascribe with this qalam, He says, Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bi majnoon. O Rasool, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not insane. Tonight, we're talking about our Prophet. It's the day of the Wafat of Rasulullah. So I thought, let's just look at some of the points of the seerat of Rasulullah. Quran is the seerat of Rasulullah. I brought some ayat for you that inshallah if I have time I'll share. The duties of Rasul, the duties of people toward Rasul, how Rasulullah carried out his duties and how people carried out their duties. And this is all from the ayat of Quran. If I will have inshallah time to present all of this to you. But then in preliminary words, it says, Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bi majnoon. O Rasul, you are not insane by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, this was the reason that people were accusing Rasulullah of insanity. They were calling him to be magician. They were calling him to be sahir and majnoon, kahin, and all of these al-qabat were given to Rasulullah. So who stands up for Rasulullah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's backing up Rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who says, oh Prophet, don't worry about it. Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika majnoon. You are not insane just because they're calling you to be insane. That also gives you an understanding that don't need to worry about the opinions of others about you. Let anyone say whatever they want about you. That should not be bothersome to you. Why? Imam said that if you hold a walnut in your hand and someone says you're holding a pearl, it's not going to change and become a pearl. And on the contrary, if you're holding a pearl in your hand and someone insists, no, you're holding a walnut in your hand, it's not going to change anything. So don't worry about how people look at you or judge you, because Rasool didn't worry about it. He continued to perform his duties even in those most difficult of the environments. That is the utmost courage that you find in the Sirat of Rasulullah. Ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika majnoon. Now what is the relationship between qalam and majnoon? Because ayat of Quran are tied with one another. We tied noon with qalam. We tied qalam with yasturun. Now qalam has to tie with junoon as well. These ayat are not random. These ayat are not, out of nowhere. These ayat are revealed by Hakim and the wise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the relationship between qalam and junoon? I'm sure every mu'min would know, while these ayat of Quran were revealed in Makkah, the nuzul of Surah Wal Qalam is in Makkah. As I said, chronologically speaking, it is the second surah that was revealed unto Prophet. So it has to be revealed where? In the life of Rasulullah's Makki life of Rasulullah. In the Makki life of Rasulullah, Allah is predicting, O Rasul, by the pen, you are not Majnoon. Yes, it's a prophecy that there will come a day when you will be on your deathbed and you will ask for a pen and a paper to write. They'll say you are Majnoon. They'll call you to be the same. Innahu la yahjur. The man has lost his mind. Na'udhu billah. Qad balagha alayhi al-wajh. Illness has taken over him that he's not able to function properly. And hasbuna kitabullah. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for us. That was the na'ra, that was the slogan that was raised. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already predicted it in the Makki life of Rasulullah that by the pen, you're not Majnoon. Let everyone say whatever they want to. The very next ayah then, I'm just explaining the ayat right now before I get to the maqsad. It says, وَإِنَّ لَكَ لَأَجْرًا غَيْرَ مَمْنُونَ. O Prophet, Allah has given you an ajr, or Allah will give you an ajr غَيْرِ مَمْنُونَ. Mamnoon comes from the word manna. Manna means maqtu. So when it says غَيْرِ mamnoon, it means غَيْرِ maqtu. Maqtu means cut off. We will give you an ajr which you will never cut off. Meaning what? The ajr will continue. Regardless of what happens, your ajr is written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I said it in another majlis, forgive me for repeating, that in Surah Shu'ara, the second largest surah in Quran, after Surah Baqarah, from ayat number 108 till 180, 5 Anbiya are mentioned. Hazrat Lut, Hazrat Shu'aib, Hazrat Hud, Hazrat Saleh, and Hazrat Nuh. All of these 5, they repeat the same ayat. The ayat are repeated from 108 to 180. What do they say? They say, well, inni lakum rasulun ameen. I am Rasul who's ameen for you. Fattaqullah wa ati'un. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obey me. Every prophet, all 5 of these, they said the same thing. Hazrat Nuh came, he said the same thing. I am Rasulun ameen. Fattaqullah wa ati'un. Fattaqullah wa atiyun. The second prophet came, Hazrat Saleh, he said the same thing. Hazrat Hud said the same thing. Hazrat Shu'aib said the same thing. All of them said the same thing. And then they said towards the end of it that وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. We do not ask any ajr from you. Why? Our ajr is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only prophet who demanded ajr is our prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. You all know this ayat. إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I don't seek any ajr except that which is for my mawaddat of my family members. None of the previous Anbiya asked for ajr. All they said, Allah will give us. Rasulullah said, no, give me this ajr. You have to pay this ajr. This is ajr risalat. Why is Rasul allowed to ask for this ajr and the previous Anbiya were not allowed to ask for this ajr? Easy. Because the work of the previous Anbiya was incomplete. Every Nabi came and added a little bit to the propagation of the religion and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only with the nuzul of the ayat on our Prophet that deen had become mukammal. Al-yawm akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam deena. When Islam became mukammal, now Rasulullah is the one who can go ahead and say, now the ajr risalat belongs to me. Salawat beji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So you go ahead and read these ayat, you'll find similar tone for all of those 5 anbiya. But how can you demand ajr when you have not finished the job? You finish the job, then you ask for the ajr. So only Rasool that finished the job is our Prophet. So it says, there's ajr for you, O Prophet, غَيْرِ مَمْنُون, which will never end. And then the last ayat in these 4 ayat is, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. O Habib, you are at the highest standards of morality. Highest standards of morality. That to the extent you hear this hadith plenty of time, the Rasulullah said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to perfect makarim al-akhlaq, the noble characters, right? Rasulullah did not say, one of the maqasid of me being sent was to complete makarimul akhlaq. He said, innama. We all know what innama does. He said, the only reason that I was sent in this world was to go ahead and complete the noble characters. So here you understand the kirdar of Rasulullah, the character of Rasulullah, which is explained through these ayat. Now, of course, qalam is an important invention. What it does, it connects the past with present, and it connects the present with future. If it wasn't for this qalam, you and I would not know the history of Karbala. You and I would not know the sirat of Masumeen. You and I would not know what the people of the past did. And therefore, with this qalam, there's a possibility that sometimes things might arise which might not make sense. Why? Because there's a difference between Quran and Hadith. Quran is qat'iyyus sanad wa zanniyyud dalil. Meaning what? Sanad of Quran is qat'i. No doubt about the sanad of Quran. Quran is from who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's kalam-e ilahi. You don't need reference for Quran. But it's zanniyyud dalil. The dalil of Quran may not be, 100%. It could mean this, it could mean that. When you present any dalail from Quran, does not necessarily mean that it is proving something that you're trying to prove. It could be proving something else. That is the khasiyat of Quran. That's not something which is a shortcoming of Quran. But on the contrary, hadith is what? Hadith is the opposite of it. Hadith is zanniyyus sanad wa qat'iyyud dalil. The sanad of the hadith may not be 100%. But the dalil that the hadith provides is more of the time, it is going to be sufficient to prove a point. So therefore you find in the kalam of Ma'asumeen, the lengthy ahadith are mentioned, they come about and they explain things in depth and details where there's no ambiguity regarding any of these things. We mentioned before, you can't prove namaz from Quran, can you? You can't prove the 2 rakat fajr that you offer the way you offer from Quran. Does that mean you're going to stop praying? No, Quran is qat'iyu sanad. It does say, go ahead and stand up in the morning and offer salat, but doesn't say how. That part came where? In hadith. Now there might be a problem with hadith that sanad is not correct because different varieties of sanad is mawjood. One says pray like this, one says pray like this, one says pray like this, one says open your arms and pray like that. So you find different hadiths which are telling you how to fold or not to fold, what to say and what not to say in your salat. Hence you find what the difference of the performance of salat amongst the Muslimin. Someone said, you stand and you perform this ibadat. He said, until I went to Hajj, I was Shia. Until I went to Hajj, I was a Shia. But after I performed Hajj, I became even more Shia. I became even more Shia. क्यों? इसलिए कि when I saw Muslimin doing things in different ways, what is this religion where everyone is doing things according to their own understanding? The only Jamaat which was doing things in one way, that was the Maktab of Ahl Bayt alayhi salatu wa salam. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So therefore hadith could be some places problematic. And therefore a lot of time you hear that so and so thing was said in Usul Kafi. No, there's a possibility. Usul Kafi is not Kalam Sahih. Usul Kafi, we don't label any of our books to be Sahih. We don't call them to be like Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, although they call it, and they know that they're not Sahih even. You go ahead and read their own scholars, such as one of the biggest scholars of Ahl Sunnah, Albani, who did the tashri' of these books, and he mentioned which hadith is Sahih, which hadith is Da'if. So what does that mean? You give us the book which is called Sahih Bukhari, and then in it you find ahadith which are Da'if? It doesn't make any sense. That is the reason we don't call Usul Kafi to be Sahih. That is the reason we don't call Al-Istibsar to be Sahih. That's the reason we don't call Man La Yahdurul Faqih to be Sahih. That is the reason we don't call Tahdhibul Ahkam to be Sahih. That is the reason we don't call Biharul Anwar to be Sahih. None of these books are Sahih. But that does not mean everything in it is, Za'if. There are many ahadith that are true in it. So you'll find ahadith that are there which might be against your aqaid. And when you come across these ahadith, the criteria is given to us that always measure these ahadith with Quran. And if the hadith goes against the criteria of Quran, fadribu ila jidar. Literally, throw it against the wall. That's the word of hadith. Rasulullah said, if you find my hadith to be contrary to Quran, fadribu ila jidar. Throw it against the wall. It has no value. So if you find, and there are discussions going on amongst many communities, if you find, a clip or two where there's a discussion that Na'udhu Billah, Aimma Athar made bayat to someone. Aimma Athar did bayat to the Khalifa of the time. Na'udhu Billah, Amirul Mu'mineen, after 6 months, went ahead and did bayat to Khalifa Awwal. Or for example, 4th Imam did bayat to Yazid when he came to Medina. By the way, he never came to Medina. He stayed in Sham and he died over there, and so therefore right away it is problematic on its own. Or for 8th Imam said to Mamun, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. These riwayat are there in Al-Kafi, no doubt. Volume 8 has all these riwayat in it. But what you got to do, look at the riwayat of Rasulullah, which says, if you find any of the ahadith which are associated with us, Ahlul Bayt, and you compare it with ayat of Quran, فَضْرِبُوا إِلَى الْجِدَارِ. Quran says, أَفَمَنْ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْحَقِّ أَحَقُّ أَنْ يُهْدَى أَمَّنْ لَا يَهِدِّي إِلَّا أَنْ يُهْدَى بِهِ. That Quran gives you the criteria that afdal cannot go under mafdul, meaning the one who's superior can never go ahead and pay allegiance to that one who's inferior. Then go ahead and throw these riwayat away because they have no value, none whatsoever. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So indeed, in the life of Rasulullah, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That indeed in the life of Rasulullah for you is a great example. Meaning what? That every aspect of the life of this Prophet is going to go ahead and give you a good example. There isn't a chapter in the life of Rasulullah that would be questionable for you. Now a lot of things are associated with the Prophet by the non-Muslims to go ahead and undermine and dent the image of Rasulullah. One of the things that go ahead and they associate with Rasulullah, that na'udhu billah, he was a warmonger. that because from the very beginning when he migrated to Medina, he went to war in Battle of Badr, then he had Battle of Uhud, then he had all these other battles up until Fateh Makkah, and then the Battle of Tabuk that happened even after Fateh Makkah. All of these battles have taken place and Rasulullah was busy. Ghazawat and Sariya, where he went and where he sent, there's so many. We only know names of 5 or 6 that are talked about from Quran or that are talked about from the Mimbar. But there's so many Ghazawat that Rasulullah attended. So he was a warmonger, na'udhu billah. That's all he wanted. And he wanted to spread the religion with the sword. But when you look at the Sirat of Rasulullah, this is where you become that representative of Islam and the one who needs to defend your Prophet. You go ahead and narrate to them that the wars happened when Islam was weak. The wars were being imposed upon Islam, so you had to respond for your right. That is the reason the wars were happening. But when Islam was well established and it had gone to that glory that it needed, now you don't hear any, warrants coming regarding the wars. Rather, the tone changed. Rasulullah was saying, "Ala ukhbirukum bi khairi khalaiq ad-dunya wal akhirah." Should I inform you of the best of the akhlaq of this world and the hereafter? And so people say, "Yes, Rasulullah, tell us what are the best of the akhlaq." He said, "Al-affu amman zalamaka." Forgive the one who has transgressed against you. If someone has done zulm to you, forgive them. Now, if this was the saying done in the early years of Islam, then it would not make sense. Because Islam is weak at that moment. It needs to stand up on its own. It needs to be able to defend its glory. But now that it has well established, now the tone changes. Rasulullah says, "Al-affu amman zalamaka." Forgive the one who has done injustice to you, zulm to you. That is the teaching that Rasulullah is leaving you behind. He says furthermore, "Al-afwu amman zalamaka." After that he says, "Wasil man qata'aka." Connect ties with the one who has broken ties with you. Sila Rahmi, that is being taught by Rasulullah. Because there were many who had come from the other side, their parents were still non-Muslims. He said, no, connect with them. You don't need to be unfair to them the fact that you have now become Muslims. That is what the character Islam is teaching you. He says, "Al-ihsanu man asa ilayka." Be kind to one who's been unkind to you. These are the attributes that you need today in the society that you live in this American society that you live in. With your neighbors, be kind to them, even if someone has been unkind to you. And then lastly, Rasulullah says, "Wa'ati man," give to the one, "man haramaka," the one who has deprived you. Imagine someone deprived us of something. Are we ever going to go ahead and give them anything? Never. Rasulullah says, that's not what Islam teaches you. The later years of Islam, when Islam had the glory, now everything has changed. We're no longer going to war anymore. Rather, we want to make peace with these people. Give to those who have deprived you. These were the people, they deprived you. That's the reason when Rasulullah came back to Makkah after Fateh Makkah, when he entered the city, many of these people who were fed up with the mushrikeen, they said, "Al-yawm yawmul malhama." Today is the day that we go ahead and take the revenge. Rasulullah changed the notion. He said, "No, al-yawm yawmul marhama." Today is the day of rahmat. Today is the day of mercy. We're not going to go ahead and take revenge from these people who drove us out of our houses. Hence the ayat of Quran which says, "Laqad kana lakum fi rasulillahi uswatun hasana." If you were to look for uswa in the life of Rasulullah, you'll find it to be at the height of everything. The ayat that I had recited, and again, I have run out of my time, inshallah, at another occasion, maybe I can discuss the further seerat of Rasulullah, where the objectives of Rasulullah and things that Rasulullah did. Just look at the barakat that Rasulullah had provided. One ayat from Surah Tawbah, I believe it's ayat number 110, where just following Rasulullah, doing things which are minor and you don't even pay attention to them sometimes, become the reason for your amal salih. He says, وَمَا كَانَ لِأَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ أَنْ يَتَخَلَّفُوا عَنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. it is not appropriate for the people of Medina and the Arab to go against Rasulullah. That tells you what? There were many in Ahl Medina who were going against Rasulullah. You call them to be all Sahaba and Jalilul Qadr. There were many, according to this ayat of Quran, were going against the commands and the teachings of Rasulullah. He said, وَمَا كَانَ لِأَهْلِ مَدِينَةِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ أَنْ يَتَخَلَّفُوا عَنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ وَيَرْغَبُوا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. To go ahead and choose their nufus on the nafs of Rasulullah. Maybe here Rasulullah is saying, my nafs is Ali ibn Abi Talib. Don't choose anyone above the nafs of me, that is Ali. He said, وَلَا يَرْغَبُوا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. Why? ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ لَا يُصِيبُهُمْ ظَمَأٌ وَلَا مَخْمَصَةٌ وَلَا زَمَأٌ وَلَا مَخْمَصَةٌ. That the reason is, there will never be nasabun, dhamanun, and makhmasatun. Three things are mentioned. That these things will not touch them. Meaning what? Thirst, hunger, and as far as any sort of fatigue is concerned. Three things are mentioned. Those who went for ziyarat, just came back from the Arba'in ziyarat. You had three things along with you, right? You were thirsty, but of course you were getting water on the side. You were hungry, they were providing food for you as well, the hospitality of the Iraqi people. And you were getting fatigued. You were getting, tired, of course, of walking. They were massaging you as well. Ayat of Quran says what? That if you go ahead and become thirsty, if you become hungry, and if you are tired, and then two more things are mentioned. These things, if they are done for the sake of Rasulullah, then they are considered to be amal saleh for you. Meaning what? Thirst? Thirst is amal saleh. I'm thirsty right now. I need water. No, I don't need it, but I'm just saying. I'm thirsty. If I'm thirsty for the sake of Rasulullah, ayat of Quran says what? That is amal saleh. If I'm hungry for the sake of Rasulullah, ayat of Quran says you're what? Doing amal saleh. If I'm getting tired, my legs are getting tired, and you're walking and you're doing this march on Arba'in, or when you go out and march for Jannatul Baqi, or when you go out and walk and march for the, azm of Risalat, for example. And if you get tired of that, it says all of these are considered to be amal saleh, the righteous deeds. It's not a big thing. Why? You get the same treatment in the month of Ramadan. What happens in Ramadan? When you breathe in the month of Ramadan, anfasukum fihi tasbih. Your breathing becomes the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa nawmukum fihi ibadah. Your sleep becomes ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sixth Imam connected this hadith of Rasool by saying that when you hammuna, when you have grievance, when you grieve for us, when you weep for us, Ahlul Bayt, that is considered to be ibadat as well. When you shed tears, that is considered to be the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So over there in Ramadan, these involuntary actions are becoming amal saleh for the sake of Rasulullah. If you get hungry and thirsty and tired, it is considered to be amal saleh. Go check the ayat number 110 of Surah Tawbah or 120 of Surah Tawbah, either one of these two. That Rasulullah, the kamal of Rasulullah, that he came and he brought you to that extent. And that is the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he takes an oath by the city of Makkah, he said, La uqsimu bihadal balad. I'm not swearing by this city because this city has Zamzam in it, because this city has Safa and Marwa in it, because this city has Kaaba in it, because this city has Hajar Aswad in it, because this city has Mashairul Haram in it. All the things that you find in the city of Makkah, Allah says, La uqsimu bihadal balad. That is not the reason I'm swearing by the city, because of the wujud of all of these sha'airullah in the city. The very next ayat answers the question, وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ. The reason I'm taking an oath by this city is because the wujud of Rasulullah in this city. Your wujud is the sole reason why this city is worth taking an oath by. Rasulullah gave his life, 23 years of hard work to bring this ummah to that peak where the ayat is revealed, Al-Yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum. When Rasulullah left this world, deen was mukammal. But the constant tanazzul of deen is that within 50 years, this ummah is now shedding the blood of the grandson of Rasulullah. آپ دیکھیے رسولullah کی آنکھیں بند نہ ہوئی تھیں اور خانہ نبوت کے اوپر حملے شروع ہو گئے تھے. وہ آخری وقت رسولullah کا جب رسولullah اپنے احتضار کی حالت میں ہیں، وہ واقعہ گزر چکا ہے جس میں رسولullah نے کتاب اور کاغذ کا تقاضا کیا تھا اور ان کو نہیں دیا گیا. ابن عباس یہ کہتے ہوئے نکلے تھے کہ افسوس افسوس کہ رسول کو ان کی آخری وصیت لکھنے نہ دی گئی. اور پھر رسولullah ہیں اور ان کی بیٹی ہے ساتھ. فاطمہ-الزہرا اپنے بابا کی تیمارداری میں لگی ہوئی ہیں. اور ایک دفعہ لوگوں نے دیکھا یا گھر والوں نے دیکھا کہ جناب سیدہ جو کہ حالت غم میں تھیں، دیکھ رہی ہیں باپ اس حالت میں ہیں اور اس دنیا سے جانے والے ہیں، ایک دفعہ مسکرائیں. تو جب وہ مسکرائیں تو بعد میں پوچھا ہے فاطمہ اس غم کی حالت میں آپ کے چہرے پہ مسکراہٹ کیوں آئی تھی؟ کہا میرے بابا نے مجھ سے کہا تھا کہ اے فاطمہ تم سب سے پہلے مجھ سے آ کے ملو گی. 18 سال کا سن ہے فاطمہ-الزہرا کا. اس بات پہ جناب سیدہ مسکرا رہی ہیں کہ میں بابا سے زیادہ دن بچھڑی نہیں رہوں گی، فوراً ہی پلٹ کے بابا کے پاس چلی جاؤں گی. کربلا میں بھی ایک بیٹی ایسی ہے حسین کی جو حسین کے سینے پہ رکھ کے سوتی، جو حسین کے سینے پہ سویا کرتی تھی. شاید امام حسین نے بھی یہی دلاسا دیا ہوگا، اے سکینہ آج کے بعد سے علی اصغر میرے سینے پہ سوئے گا، تم ماں کے ساتھ سویا کرو گی، لیکن ہاں کچھ ہی دنوں کی بات ہے، تم نے پلٹ کے میرے پاس ہی آنا ہے. سب سے پہلے آنے والوں میں خواتین میں تم ہی ہوگی جو میرے پاس آؤ گی. جناب سیدہ مسکرائیں اس بات پہ. بس ایک وہ وقت آتا ہے رسولullah اب حالت غیر ہے. ایک دفعہ رسولullah کے گھر پہ دروازے پہ کھٹکھٹ ہوتی ہے، کوئی دروازہ کھٹکھٹاتا ہے. سیدہ کہتی ہیں آنے والے چلے جا، میرے بابا کا عالم ایسا نہیں ہے کہ وہ کسی سے ملاقات کر سکیں، ان کی حالت ایسی نہیں ہے کہ وہ کسی سے گفتگو کر سکیں، واپس چلے جاؤ. تھوڑی دیر بعد دوبارہ دستک ہوتی ہے. جناب سیدہ پھر یہی کہتی ہیں کیوں تم بار بار کھٹکھٹا رہے ہو، کیوں بار بار دستک دیتے ہو؟ میرے بابا اس عالم میں ہیں کہ وہ کسی سے گفتگو نہیں کر سکتے. جب تیسری مرتبہ دستک ہوئی تو ایک دفعہ رسولullah نے آنکھیں کھولیں. اے فاطمہ تمہارے چہرے پہ پریشانی دیکھ رہا ہوں. کہا بابا کوئی شخص ہے جو بار بار دروازے پہ دستک دے رہا ہے، میں کہے جا رہی ہوں کہ واپس چلے جاؤ، ابھی میرے بابا کسی سے مل نہیں سکتے ہیں. رسول نے کہا اے سیدہ یہ تمہارے دروازے کا احترام ہے کہ ملک الموت بھی دروازے پہ دستک دے کے آنا چاہتا ہے، ورنہ ملک الموت کو کہیں جانے کے لیے اجازت طلب نہیں کرنی پڑتی ہے. رسول نے واضح کر دیا کہ اگر کسی کو آنا ہے فاطمہ کے در پہ تو اجازت لے کے آئے. لیکن ہائے امت نے کیا اجر رسالت دیا. ادھر رسول کی آنکھیں بند ہوتی ہیں، رسول اپنے ہی حجرے میں دفنا دیے جاتے ہیں. رسول کے اوپر کوئی جماعت کے ساتھ نماز جنازہ نہیں پڑھی گئی، ایک ایک کر کے نماز جنازہ پڑھی جاتی ہے. لیکن آپ دیکھیے کہ رسول کے جاتے ہی آنکھیں بند ہوتے ہی وہ گھر وہ در جس پہ رسول کھڑے ہو کے کہتے تھے السلام علیکہ یا اہل بیت النبوہ، اے اہل بیت نبوت آپ کے اوپر سلام ہو، اس گھر کے دروازے کو گرایا جاتا ہے. جناب سیدہ در و دروازے کے درمیان پس جاتی ہے، شکم میں محسن شہید ہو جاتے ہیں. اجرکم اللہ، خدا کسی غم میں نہ رلائے سوائے غم آل محمد کے. رسولullah اس دنیا سے چلے گئے اور مظالم آل رسول پہ شروع ہو گئے. مظالم شروع ہوئے جناب سیدہ کی شہادت سے. مظالم اتنے بڑے کہ علی کو دربار میں گھسیٹ کے لایا گیا، علی کے گردن میں رسی ڈالی گئی. علی کے ساتھ کیا ادا کیا اس امت نے. قتل علی فی المحراب لشدت عدلہ. حسن مشتبہ کی باری آتی ہے تو ان کی خواہش کو پورا نہ کیا گیا. تیر کی بارش ہوتی ہے جنازے سبت اکبر کے اوپر, اور آئیے کربلا میں حسین کے لاشے کے ساتھ کیا حشر کیا. ارے امام حسین کو شہید کیا. تمام اصحاب کے جاننے والوں نے آ کے اصحاب کے لاشوں کو لے گئے. یہ نہیں کرنے دیا پسر ساتھ کو کہ ان کے ساتھ کسی قسم کی حتک اور بے حرمتی ہو. ارے صرف ایک لاشا تھا فاطمہ الزہرا کے لال کا, جس کے اوپر سر کو جدا کرنے کے بعد سے گھوڑوں کو دوڑایا گیا. ماتم حسین.
حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. ماتم سرا بنا ہے مدینہ رسول کا. حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. بے حال ہے رسول کی دختر حسینیو. بے حال ہے حسین کی دختر حسینیو. دو فاطمہ یتیم کو پرسا رسول کا. حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. جاتے ہو چھوڑ کر ہمیں اے نہ جا کہاں. جاتے ہو چھوڑ کر ہمیں اے نہ جا کہاں. کہتا ہے رو کے چھوٹا نواسا رسول کا. حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. ہے وا محمدہ کی صدا ہر طرف بلند. ہے وا محمدہ کی صدا ہر طرف بلند. کاندھوں پہ مومنوں کے ہے جنازہ رسول کا. حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا. حیدر لٹا رہے ہیں لحد میں رسول کو. حیدر لٹا رہے ہیں لحد میں رسول کو. سر پی ہے خبر پہ کنبہ رسول کا حیدر اٹھا رہے ہیں جنازہ رسول کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے مدینہ رسول کا بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے 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 حسنین کی زبان پر حسنین کی زبان پر نانا کا مرثیہ ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے انسان کا حقیقی غمخوار مر گیا ہے انسان کا حقیقی غمخوار مر گیا ہے انسانیت ہے گریا انسانیت ہے گریا اسلام رو رہا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیٹی پکارتی ہے خاموش ہے محمد بیٹی پکارتی ہے خاموش ہے محمد زہرا کی زندگی میں زہرا کی زندگی میں کیا وقت آ گیا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے تھامے ہوئے جگر کو خیبر شکن کھڑے ہیں تھامے ہوئے جگر کو خیبر شکن کھڑے ہیں آنکھوں میں ہے اداسی آنکھوں میں ہے اداسی دل خون رو رہا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے بیت شرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے تدفین تدفین مصطفیٰ میں کتنے نخوس آئے، تدفین مصطفیٰ میں کتنے نخوس آئے، کوئی ہمیں بتائے، کوئی ہمیں بتائے، یہ کون سی وفا ہے بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، دیدار اب نہ ہوگا سردار انبیاء کا، دیدار اب نہ ہوگا سردار انبیاء کا، واہ حسرت مدینہ، واہ حسرت مدینہ، ویران ہو گیا ہے بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، رونے سے فاطمہ کے بیزار ہے مسلمان، رونے سے فاطمہ کے بیزار ہے مسلمان، قائم نبی کا پرسا، قائم نبی کا پرسا، امت نے یوں دیا ہے بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی کا ماتم سرا بنا ہے، بیت الشرف نبی
فیضان زینب سے کہا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا، آل نبی کا قافلہ جب قید سے چھٹ کر چلا، نزدیک یثرب جب ہوا، فیضان زینب سے کہا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا، 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 آل نبی کا قافلہ جب قید سے چھٹ کر چلا، نزدیک یثرب جب ہوا، فیضان زینب سے کہا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا، 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 قافلہ دوال نبی قید بند بون روا شد، یثرب دا چینش دے شد، فیضا زینب دا ہووے، بی بی مدینہ آ گیا، اب ختم ہے اپنا سفر آتا ہے اب مجھ کو نظر اب ختم ہے اپنا سفر آتا ہے اب مجھ کو نظر وہ سامنے یثرب نگر حضرت کا روضہ آ گیا بی بی مدینہ 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 آ گیا قافلہ دوال نبی عید بند بون روا شد یشرب دا چینش ده شد فضا زینب دا ہووے بی بی مدینہ آ گیا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا اہل مدینہ آئیں گے برباد ہم کو پائیں گے اہل مدینہ آئیں گے برباد ہم کو پائیں گے بےتاب سب ہو جائیں گے ہو جائے گا محشر بپا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا 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 سرور نہ آئیں گے نظر اکبر نہ آئیں گے نظر اصغر نہ آئیں گے نظر صغرا کا ہوگا حال کیا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا 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 قافلہ دوال نبی عید بند بون روا شد یشرب دا چینش ده شد فضا زینب دا ہووے بی بی مدینہ آ گیا 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 عباس اب آ جائیے پانی نہیں اب چاہیے عباس اب آ جائیے پانی نہیں اب چاہیے ہمت ہمیں بڑھوائیے روزہ نبی کا آ گیا بی بی مدینہ 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 آ گیا بیمار نہ گرنا توا سجاد کرتے ہیں بیاں آل نبی کا کارواں کشتی میں بھیجا جائے گا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا 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 قافلہ دوال نبی عید بند بون روا شد یشرب دا چینش ده شد فضا زینب دا ہووے بی بی مدینہ آ گیا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا بی بی مدینہ آ گیا मदीना गया।
السلام عليك يا رسول الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا محمد بن عبد الله. السلام عليك يا خيرة الله. السلام عليك يا حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا أمين الله. أشهد أنك رسول الله وأشهد أنك محمد عبد الله. أشهد أنك محمد بن عبد الله وأشهد أنك قد نصحت لأمتك وجاهدت في سبيل ربك وأبدته حتى أتاك اليقين، فجزاك الله يا رسول الله أفضل ما جزى نبيا عن أمته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأفضل ما صليت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. أصبنا بك يا حبيب قلوبنا، فما أعظم المصيبة بك حيث انقطع عنا الوحي وحيث فقدناك، فإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. يا سيدنا يا رسول الله صلوات الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وعنيس النفوس. أيها المدفون بأرض طوس علي بن موسى الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب الأسر والزمان. السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وانصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا محافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي.